If I can take this time for you guys to, first round to share about who you are, what you do, to introduce yourself to everybody, and if we can start with Miliane, please.
Hello. Thank you everybody for this opportunity to come here. My name is Miliane Havea and I am the chairperson of B-Lab in Australia and New Zealand. I am so grateful to be here and I want to pay my respects to all of the distinguished guests, Chairperson David Cheng and Corey, thank you for the invitation. As well as being the chairperson of the B-Lab Australia and New Zealand, I also work for a B corporation called Small Giants, which is the first B corporation in Australia and New Zealand. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you how we have built the movement in our countries. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, good morning. Thank you, first of all, Corey, and everyone else being here, spend the time. It was a pleasure to spend 30 hours in the airplane to be here. It's a really honor to be here. Well, I come from Brazil, Latin America. 14 years ago, I founded a company called Via Gutenberg, which started as a social enterprise to help large companies introduce what would be stakeholder relationships, sustainability. And in the last years, we have been changing. As part of the movement, we cannot just change the world, we have to change ourselves, right? And change our company constantly. So the last years, we've been going deep into a specific cause called longevity. So how do we prepare the world for an aging population? And we are all going to be old, but actually we don't face that. So besides that, I'm one of the first B Corps in Brazil. So I sit in the board. And here I'm speaking on behalf of System B Brazil and System B Latin America. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Un Song Chung. I'm the chairperson of B-Lab Korea. And also I'm the CEO of a company called Ever Young Korea. That is a Corp. The next year I'll be certified B Corp in Korea. Thank you very much. And finally, I'd like to thank David, Corey, Chloe, and all the other leaders of the B-Lab Taiwan for excellent job, well prepared. I cannot thank you enough.
Good morning. My name is Kenji Shino. It's my pleasure to be here and be part of the movement. And I'm actually here not on my business, actually my personal commitment and the desire to be part of the movement happening here in Asia. But I am a brand responsibility manager for Patagonia in Japan. And as you know, Patagonia is one of the B Corp. It became certified B Corp 2012, as well as a benefit corporation. And I've been with Patagonia over 25 years and learned a lot of how company run business with a mission. And so I'd like to use my experience to move the movement forward with you. So I'd like to share some of the story in Japan at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenji. So thank you for the introduction. And we're very curious about what is going on in the journey that you yourself or your company, but at the same time, what's going on in your region that was the B Corp. So if we can, if anyone is ready, if you can start with that first, and if you need your slides, let them know. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have some slides. As you can see, they're not as fancy as Corey's slides, so please forgive me. If we can go to the next one. It's so inspiring to be here and to realize that although we speak different languages and we come from different cultures, we are all meeting and converging around this idea of business as a force for good. And we are asking the question about what we can do if we redefine success in business. And I'm very happy to be here today to share the journey that we've been on in Australia and New Zealand. But before I start, I want to explain some differences in context in relation to Australia and New Zealand. So the map, as you can see, up in the corner is where we fit in the globe. We're a very big country. New Zealand is slightly smaller, but together, in comparison to Taiwan, we are 222 times bigger than Taiwan in terms of landmass. In Taiwan, you have 23.5 million people. In Australia, we have 24.1 million people, and in New Zealand, 4.6 million. So as you can see, we're a lot less densely populated than you. In Taiwan, you have much less unemployment than in our countries, but we have much higher incarceration. So if you're in New Zealand, you're 40% more likely to go to prison, and if you're in Australia, you're 80% more likely. So that's just an interesting fact. And then we also use 10% less electricity per capita than here in Taiwan. So this is just some context so you can get a sense of what our environment looks like and feels like. Interestingly as well, we're also a Western market. So when it comes to adopting and introducing the B Corp movement into our country, we are much more similar to the US in terms of culture, in terms of legal system. And so what we've been able to do is really take a lot of what they've done and slightly localize it, but really just apply it in our country. And it's meant that, if we can go to the next slide, please. Here's a timeline at the top. It's meant that in 5 years we've been able to grow the number of B corporations quite significantly. The journey in Australia started with Small Giants, which is the company that I work with. We are an impact investment organisation, and we invested in B corporations before we realised what B corporations were. So we invested in businesses that were doing good and doing well. And we found the B Corp certification, and we thought, hey, this is great, this is exactly what we're doing, and we don't have to explain anymore to blank faces about our investment philosophy. We just have a certification and a brand that we can point to. And then we looked around and we realised it's great to be a B corporation. This was in 2012. But it's very lonely if you're the only one, and there's no movement if you have nobody to talk to.
That's how I feel. That's all I all room of these people now.
Well, I mean, you have many more people to talk to, which is exciting. But soon after we certified, there were 3 other B corporations that certified as well. There was the Projection Room, a small consultancy, Net Balance, a big sustainability consultancy, and then the Impact Hub, which is a co-working space all around the world. And so we were really a bottom-up B Corp-led movement, and we got together and we started to organise working bees to encourage businesses that we knew to come on board and to be certified as well. But then we soon realised that we really needed to have some kind of presence, an organisation that could be like the flagship centre of gravity for our movement, and for what we were talking about. And so I started to talk to the people in the US, and I said, we want to be a B-Lab Australia and New Zealand. We want to have a home. And at the same time, this was in 2013, at the same time, Sistema B were knocking on their door and saying, we need this in Latin America. And so the US were, I think, quite unprepared and a bit surprised that all of a sudden their movement had gone and grown a bit faster than they thought. But during that year, we talked to them and we set up B-Lab, and we launched officially in August of 2014. And here's a picture of the founding B Corps. There were 50 B Corps when we launched our organisation. And since that time, we have really focused on 3 things. We focused on community building. We wanted to find more people. We wanted to grow our tribe. We wanted to spread the message. And the second thing we've been focusing on has been awareness around this different way of doing business, growing consumer awareness, just general awareness about business as a force for good. And then the third thing we've been doing is focusing on trying to introduce the benefit company structure in Australia. And so for a year and a half, we've had a group of lawyers and interested policymakers who've been helping us to develop this law, and now we're finally talking to government, and we're hopefully in the process of introducing it into the government so that we can also have a corporate form. And then the last slide, please. And then in May 2017, we had our first Champions Retreat. And we now have 196 B corporations in the region, 13 of them are in New Zealand. Together, they have annual turnovers of $1.2 billion, and they employ 4,000 employees. So we're growing, we're still small, but together we can make an impact. And that was the theme of our first convening. And as you can see, there's a lot of smiley faces there. And there's also these 2 smiley faces, if you can pick Corey in the picture. And together we met around a question. And the question was, what can we do together that we can't do alone? And for me, when I think about the future of B corporations and the B Corp movement in Australia and New Zealand and in the world, it's not about how many B Corps we are. It's more about what are we doing together. And I put the future is unknown. And I think together there's the opportunity for all of us to create it. So thank you for letting me share what we're doing, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you more. Thanks.
Everybody, if you can share about what's going on.
All right. I can go on. Just to give a scenario, so this movement started there in 2007, as Corey said, and nowadays we have all these global partners, right? So there is B-Lab Australia, there was, there is still B-Lab UK that joins forces with B-Lab Europe, so it's a movement that it's not a Brexit, but it's a Brexit. It's joining forces. Then you have B-Lab in Africa, B-Lab Taiwan, and then you have in Latin America Sistema B. Why not B-Lab Latin America? Well, because actually what we do is screw up all the system. That's what we do. We were the first partners to arrive, to go there. Actually, 2 people from Chile, 1 people from Argentina, and like 1 month later, someone from Brazil. And then the 4 of Jan joined forces and started Sistema B. Why Sistema B? The difference is that we think that we have a very long journey, and it's the companies go in front. We have to change what's business about, but this is a systematic change. So we need to change the whole system. So that's our approach. So if you go to the first, that's our approach. So we want to engage all different organizations into this change. And this is something important because at first the Americans didn't understand actually. And one thing that is very important is not always Latin Americans like Americans, you know? Sometimes it's like Yankees go home, you know? So there is this love and hate. There is this sensation of, oh, is this a new kind of colonization? Right? So that's something that we are dealing with. It's not that we are against, but how can we learn from them and we include what we have at our best. What we have our best is not numbers, so I won't tell numbers as she did. Okay, our numbers are good, it's good. We are reaching almost 300 B Corps.
I know numbers.
And even in Brazil, we started this year around the same number that is here, 63, and we are up to 100 now in Brazil. But this is not the most important, because actually this is business as usual. How many employees, how many companies? This doesn't represent what is the business. What does represent is the impact that you do, right? So if we think about a systematic change, we gotta understand what impact we must really are willing to. And we don't have any other choice. I think it's not something that we can, I want to be a B Corp. Oh, I thought about work with longevity. It's something that it calls us. It's something that I need to do that. 2 weeks before coming here, someone just robbed a house in my street. Then the usual answer is, okay, let's put more walls. Let's separate. Maybe the answer is, okay, let's talk to the community. What's going on? So that's about systemic change. So how do we include, integrate, and put our best in service, not saying that the other that is different is not good. The American is not bad because they like numbers, they're good. And we can take advantage of certifications and all that. But what can we input? We input, what do you know about Brazil or Latin America? Havaianas, football, carnival. Yes, that's what we do. That's what we are good at. Party. So let's invite everyone to the party, because a big change, we need to party. This cannot be like, okay, boring stuff. You gotta say, this is cool. This is really cool, right? So that's what we have been doing. Actually, we screw up, we hack the system, and we don't follow orders. And actually,
we need to check your certification numbers.
You're not recording that. Yeah? You're not sending that. Oh, sure. So let's go to the next slide. So we've started this movement that is called Academia B in a systemic way. So inviting the universities. Well, what happened? You're starting B Academy here. So that's how we can influence the movement. Actually, even the word movement, it was not very clear in the beginning. It was like, oh, it's a certification, it's something, we have to change all that, the metrics. No, come on, this is a movement, and we gotta go everybody together. So let's invite the academia. Next slide. Let's invite common people. So multiplicadores B, multipliers, are common people that say, hey, hello, I want to do that too. Oh, are you a consultant? I don't care. Just come. And we give you like a very short course, and then you can spread the word. That's what we are gonna do after tomorrow, right? So how can we like at least have a little bit of structure on that? So that's what we're doing. We could go on a lot of examples. We started the lawyers, be lawyers, not only to change the law, but to actually really think about that. Go on. And then party, right? So this is the festival for integrating everybody on that. So it's like a lot of days with music, with debates. So it's serious. So like me, the others have the house robbed, and the Amazon is on fire. So what do? All these social things, they are the next door. So we need to do those things. So, but let's do that with fun, and let's engage everyone. And then there is the Best for New York. And we started, and then in Rio last year we started a different thing that it's Rio plus B. So it's like the Best for Taipei, but it's like more broad again. And then while we are launching, because it's very difficult to us to first time actually in my life that I have someone in the same room that works with longevity. That's the first time, right? So, because when I certified my company, I was not taking this a lot of points for what I was doing. So I said, no, it's not right. Let's improve this certification. You're not counting the social problem that I'm seeing. It's not because you're not seeing. I want to help that. But they said, okay, forget about it, sure. And said, okay, no, let's make a challenge. So we invite companies to really talk about longevity. So we developed these, that it's the challenge for Desafio is called challenge. So it's challenge B60 plus. So we're inviting companies to talk about B and talk about longevity. So we had to do that. We had to develop 12 new indicators that we are experimenting here, and soon we want to incorporate into the metrics, the official metrics. So this is a way to hack the system officially, right? So that's how we kind of work. So to put our best, what is our concern. So my concern is longevity, so I do that. Your concern is another, so you do another thing. So that's how the movement works. It's not someone from the US that says something. They have built a lot of stuff that is really good. But what's our concern? So that's all about. That's what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. John, please.
Yes, I'm a kind of a newcomer to this social movement, Corp movement. I joined this force only about 6-7 months ago. And after that, we had an international conference in Seoul, and then I found many peculiar things. One is all age people. You say from college students to the aged entrepreneurs. So all ages, generations, they came together. So that's what I felt very peculiar, unique. And the other was You know, Korean economy is very well known for state-driven economy and also big conglomerates. You know already Samsung, Hyundai, SK, CJ, Lotte, and so on. And most of those companies, big companies, they came. You know, usually, I know that in Taiwan, the Taiwanese economy and Korean economy very much similar in its history and so on. But this country's economy mainly led by SMEs. But Korea, a little different. It's big conglomerates playing big roles. And then they came. And I'm now communicating with some of those owners, leaders of those big companies, and they have a keen interest in the Corp movement. So I feel the heat is going on in Korea. So maybe next year we can have a very sudden jump up to a new stage. And that's what I think about and explain about how things going on in Korea. And I see lots of faces, looks like young entrepreneurs in Taiwan. So I'd like to introduce one of cases to become a B Corp. And this is my own company. About 5 years ago, I was entering the age of 50. And it's in Confucius said, Jitianming, right? So I was thinking about what is the meaning of life? What is God's will? And so on. Then I narrow it down to some questions. Work is end of life or means of life? Raise your question to yourself. So I concluded that work, job, is the end of life. So I decided to devote my 1/3 of my lifespan for the rest of my life to what I value is helping others, contributing to society, and work for the public interest. I decided. And then I focused down, and it took about a year, and then it came down to one of the most disadvantaged people in our society, and also it's becoming the biggest problem in our society is the aging people. Korea is, by the end of this year, I think it will be the aged society, which means 14% of Korean people are more than 65 years old. So it's fastest growing. So Korea is well known as a fast growing economy in our past history, but aging also is fastest growing. So, and then I try to find who's going to help me, help our company. And then I found out Naver. Naver is a portal site. It is one of the biggest companies now in Korea. And now we are providing IT services to Naver. So it started with 30 workers in 4 years ago. And then Naver got so much satisfied. They increased the volume more and more. And then now we 450 fellow workers in just 4 years. So what I'm saying is I just started the spark. I was the spark igniter. That was all. So I have my own profit-making company. So to earn for my family, right? And this is the additional thing I'm doing. So I'm not contributing all my day's time to this company, but our fellow workers, they did that. Now they are expanding the benefits to the society. They are now teaching coding to elementary schools. They started about 3 years ago, and now expanding. And then even last year, they started to, it's all voluntary things, and they started to go to the Philippines to teach elementary school children in Navata City, which is about 1 hour by car from the downtown Manila, and so on. So many things going on. So once you set the goal and you ignite the spark, it will happen to you. I think this is the philosophy and the value we share among those who join in this social movement, excellent social movement called B Corp. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. It's very inspiring that the point that I took from John is that if you start something that's right for the people, these things will take over and it will drive by itself. Thank you. So if I may ask, Kenji-san, please.
I'm afraid to say, actually I'm not a political person to talk about B Corp movement in Japan, but in Japan, the first B Corp was certified in March 2016, so last year, March. Since then, 2 new B Corp added. So now we have 3. And maybe you may be surprised, Japan still only 3 B Corp. So still B Corp movement in Japan is kind of baby. So right now learning a lot from other country like you. And myself is today is not on behalf of the Japan B Corporation Movement Promotion Committee, but I had they provided me the objective for next year. So they are planning to have 10 certified B Corp this year. So 7 more B Corp, and also became a B Lab. Official B Lab next year. So they are trying to have promote the B Corp movement in Japan. And I think, as you know, the Japanese corporations traditionally share the philosophy of supporting the community and making good quality of product with less harm to the society. So if we could do the best, more good job to communicate the B Corp to the Japanese corporation, there is more chance to grow. And then next year we could have more Japanese company in this movement. So I'd like to myself learn the best practice from you and from the people here and bring back to Japan and convey the message to the committee. And I hope the movement in Japan is grow rapidly in the future. So this is my observation of the movement in Japan.
Thank you, Genji. So, John, actually, I want to kind of explain the age group that you mentioned a little bit, from college to elders in the B Corp movement. I believe we have somebody from high school here. So if the person from high school, can you stand up? Isabel? Is it? All right. So Isabel is from Philippines. And she's moved out here to understand the HR market. So we're getting even a bigger age group now. So when you're teaching software programming to elementary school, let's see if we can put some B Corp programming in there. And then Sergio is gonna come do the hacking. So you guys can tag him on that. Okay. So so if we can have you share about why are you here? Why are you driving? Why do you found this to be important? Why you? Why that you are engaged in this? That you might not have the resource, you might not have whatever that's needed. But why? Why are you here? So if you guys can let us share about that, that'd be great. I think the men's hiding behind the lady.
It's such a big question and a good question for me. And I think for me it's a question that I think we need to ask ourselves why we do things constantly. And for me the answer is always a little bit different, and I understand a little bit more why I do things. But I am really passionate about business being used as a force for good, about business being not about destroying planet and communities, but about being generative. And I think if I question why, and I go back to all the way to the way I was raised and to my family experience. And so I come from a mixed race background. My dad is from a little island in the South Pacific called Tonga. Has anyone heard of? Yeah. 6 people, that's good. There are only 100,000 people, so I forgive you for not having heard of us. But my mum is from a country that a lot more people have heard of, the Netherlands in Europe. And they're kind of on opposite sides of the globe. And in many, many ways, they are opposite cultures as well. So when I was a kid growing up, I would go to my dad's family and they would tell me that I should do things in this way. And then when I would go to next weekend to my mum's family, they would tell me that no, the right way to do it is this way. And so as a child, it was quite confusing. I had a lot of questions. What's right? What's wrong? Where do I fit? Am I Tongan? Am I Dutch? This was all happening in Australia, so am I Australian? Big questions. But it also taught me, I think, to question when people tell you that this is the right way to do things. So I think in some ways I've taken that learning and I applied it to business. I went to business school and they told me, this is how you run a business. This is the measurement of success. You make a lot of money. And I thought, that doesn't feel right either. That assumption, I think, is wrong. It doesn't sit with who we are as individuals, as communities, as animals, as part of this planet. It didn't feel right to me. And so then I came across this concept of B Corporation. And I loved the fact that the tagline was to redefine success in business. I thought, yeah, these people are questioning the assumptions, and this is good. And then I actually got in touch with the people in the US, and I said, who's doing this in Australia? I want to go and help them. I want to know who's doing this in Australia. And they were very busy, and nobody responded to me, and I thought, oh, no one's doing it in Australia. And then a year later, I went back to Australia, and I started working with Small Giants, and they had just become the first B Corp. And they sat down with me and they said, we need to build B Corp in Australia and New Zealand, and you're going to do it. And so after asking the question of the US, who's doing it, a year later I found myself doing it. And I feel that that's a really big learning for all of us. If we see something that we think needs to be done, don't ask who's doing it, just step forward and do it. And so that's what I'm doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Who gives you the right to do it? Who gives you the right to do it? Oh, go ahead. No, I think that's the movement.
No, nobody. Well, I was raised with the image of as love boys of my father as a role model, and he was very successful in the business as usual. And actually, he looks much like me. But he died at 47. And something that I got from that, it's kind of a disconnection. A disconnection between a role model of being a workaholic, businessman, make money, that's what everybody would put the pressure to be, and he answered, and it was really good. And there's a whole other side that maybe he didn't pay attention that much. His personal health, even his family, and all other personal stuff. So I always struggle that this difference between personal life and professional life, business and NGO. So all these dualities, for me, doesn't work. I think when we integrate those things into one, we get our full potential. So when I went to business school, everything that I've learned was rational, numbers, success as small, medium, and large companies. So this is how much, what's your revenue, right? So it's all rational. Well, how do I get my heart into that conversation? I didn't have any lesson about emotional development at school. I don't know if you have here in business. I don't, and I give classes in business school, and they still don't have. And what about our spirituality? How do we meet with that? How many business schools teach that? And what about all the other me? That it's not only my rational. So for me, what I've been learning through this journey is I get my full potential when I'm integral in my work, in my life. And when I found B Corp, it was like, wow, I found my tribe. Because I had this company that we tried to do that, and people said, okay, you're not a company, you're an NGO. I said, no, I'm a company. I'm doing this, I'm serious, right? Oh, don't talk like that. You're not straight to the point. Yes, I don't want to be straight to the point. I want to open my heart to you, right? And I never...
We're talking about a company or a woman?
Oh, actually, it's all the same, you know? Because I never dated a woman that said, oh, that's my wallet. No, that's not how you start a relationship. You start a relationship showing up who you are, what you like. And for me, a company should be the same thing. what do I care about? It's what my company cares about. And who joins that cares about the same thing. And so we are integral in the company. We are not, I don't have employees. I have people. And I work with them. And so I really struggle with this. We are even talking about SMEs. I mean, I used to have a company, my company used to have 30 consultants. Now my goal is to have 0. I have now 1 employee. But for the best for the world, I'm over there. Actually in the ranking, I'm number 2. So it's like, what matters is the impact that we do. So I can consider myself a millionaire because I impact millions of people. But I don't gain that energy. The energy should grow. We are a movement. So that's why I'm here, because it's a space where I can find people that think alike. And I can put my best in service, and I receive the best in exchange. Thank you. So, John, I understand that you are the president for one of the Hyundai subsidiaries, and this organization is the second biggest in the world in that particular industry. This is across 150 countries right now. And so why, I understand you were a very busy person, and then you know about the Beacon movement about 2 years ago. So why did you get involved? It's not an easy job as David's doing, right? It's very task. It's about driving the movement. And why did you make the decision to be it?
Frankly speaking, to please myself. I thought about, I look back upon the past and present of my life. 5 years ago, I was entering the age of 50. And then I decided I have all the right and responsibility to make my life more wonderful, beautiful, and meaningful. So I found out that I gain pleasure, happiness. I feel satisfied when I do something for others. So that's why I studied that, and then I'm still gaining lots of pleasure. So I'm going to do it until it is over. I don't think it will be over. And then you raised the question why I'm here, and I think I thought about that. I think I concluded that I was invited by 2 strong men like David and you.
So yeah, we muscle him to come over. So we will come and you're coming.
Now, I think one of the best and most benefits or privileges by being a member of B Corp movement is joining in the global network. We have hundreds of social enterprises in Korea. My company is one of them, but we don't have that kind of global network. So just 2 days ago, I messaged Sergio, and he's my lifetime comrade. Just in 2 days. See, be the change. Join me.
Thank you. And I think someone asked you, so why? I think it's somehow when Japan had their first Beacon, it's the second day we had the Asia event last year. So that morning we wake up, and then we got that news, and all of us in the room were so excited because Japan had that first Beacon, and so I think somehow I always found out something innate in you that you're trying to, push, and you're trying to drive, you're trying to create a different feelings. And I want to understand, Why is that? What are you looking for in this?
As I said, I have been working with the Patagonia for over a quarter century, and I think my role is not always kind of connect someone to something. So, like I have been working on a lot of environment campaign in Japan, and I was looking for the opportunity to engage more NGO or more people, more audience, customer to the environment causes. And as Corey said, 2 years ago, the March 2016, I had a chance to be first B Corp forum because at that time someone in the state headquarters in California was invited, but he couldn't be here. So luckily, I had a chance to be here and meet all of the big movement maker in Asia, and feel that I have to work on this movement because I feel this is the most important social movement I met through my job. So I'd like to use my time or my experience to connect more people, more company to this movement. And so that is why I'm here. And also because I am working with the outdoor company, I'm a big fan of the outdoor sports. I'm always take a walk and go mountain to run and feel the nature. But as I spend more time in nature, I feel a lot of change happening in nature. So another reason is why I really like to protect the nature to pass it to the next generation as it is, or more healthy planet. So that's my reason why I'm here.
Thank you. So now you hear why all these people are here. And later on we're going to have some other countries that's going to come out and share about the story. But I think as this stage, we want to have opportunity to hear about why you are here. Okay? So, if it's possible, if you can move your seat so that you make sure there's somebody next to you. Okay? Okay? So you have to make sure there's somebody sitting next to you like this. Okay? So for those, I'm looking at you right now, that you don't have somebody sitting next to you. Move your seats and move next to them. And so, come on guys. Make sure there's somebody next to you, okay? So first thing we're going to do, we'd like you to turn to your right and then tell the people next to you why you're here. That's the first question. And then the second question is, how do you see that connection with your business? Okay, so that's the first thing that we do. And what's the second thing we do? We turn to the left, and we do that, okay? So we're gonna have 3 minutes, thank you. 3 minutes for you to turn to your right, and then show us the person. Why are you here? And then the second question is the connection you see, the possible connection you see with your business. And perhaps to think about, like, a journey that we had through our lifetime. Maybe it was something throughout your lifetime of growing up that you found valuable to you, and that drive you here. So we're gonna have 3 minutes as the first part of the exercise, and then we're gonna move to the second minute, and then we're gonna ask you to share about why you're here. Okay? So that we all have a chance to be in this movement together. Okay, so the first minute begin. Thank you. And this is not a washroom break. Okay, so go ahead. If I may ask you to finish your sentence, and then we're gonna begin this part of our journey. So first of all, I'd like to thank you for participating in this and give us an opportunity to talk to each other on the stage. That's the first time in my life doing this, that we have conversation with each other on the stage. And so, who's ready to share? Okay, so we have one. How many more? Okay, so we have one in the middle is gonna share. Okay? Anyone else? We need a couple hands. Okay, we got 2. Where? Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this as a team, so that we know we get a chance to share what's going on, and then we try to help facilitate each other to share about what they do. Okay? So we're gonna have this ball, and this is a microphone ball. Okay? So we're gonna toss around, and then you throw the ball, or maybe it would be nice if you pass the ball. Okay? To the person that want to share. Okay? So who's gonna go first? Okay, so there's somebody over there. Can someone pass this ball? Who's good? There you go. On that side, the black side. Just talk to
在上面，上面
Just talk
对。
to yeah, just talk to Oh no, the microphone's still on.
还是第一个麦克风可以。Please，
Okay.
来，第一个麦克。
Yeah, let's give them a microphone first. And can you throw the ball back? Let me check out. Throw it back. Oh, I need the ball. Somebody throw the ball back. Over here. Give it to me.
Hello. My name is Tufan. I'm from Vietnam, and thank you for Corey's and Big Cops for the invitation and the support to come here. And thank you for all of you. Actually, I'm very new to the Cops, and I just certainly knew about the Cops last month when I heard about the Cop presentation from Corey last month in Toronto, and that's the reason I be here with the invitation and then support. And actually, thank this your opportunity, I have the chance to know my friends on the panel, Mr. Central Millennials, Benson John and Kenzie Charles. Thank you for your sharing about the Cop movement throughout the world. Actually, Taiwan and Vietnam very near, just a 3.5 flight, and we have shared similar cultures and similar with Taiwan. More than 90% of enterprise in Vietnam is SME, and social responsibility is not new to Vietnam enterprise. But I appreciate that Corey sharing today is most of maybe traditional way of companies do for profit. They try to maximize profit for the shareholders, and how to make them more responsibilities not easy, especially when they are small and medium enterprise. And our company, I'm the CEO of Livingston 2 Industrial Parks, and we belong to the system of Saigon West Group. We have throughout 20 industrial parks throughout the country, and we possess 9,000 hectares throughout the country of industrial parks, and number one in Vietnam in case of industrial parks and infrastructure. And within our industrial parks, we have hundreds of companies. And today, I open my mind about ECOP movement, about the sharing more responsibility to the community. And I think that now actually at the moment that the Vietnamese government, they want to promote more social responsibility to the company, right? I want them to make more responsible to the environment, to the community, and sharing the profit more to the employee, to the community, and donate your profit to the community. I'm Buddhist, and I understand that to give and to receive. That means when you give your profit to the community, that means you can receive more in the future. But more important than how you give. The way you give is more important than how the money you give, right? And through this meeting, I understand more about the BCOP spirit. And I think that in the near future, I understand that I believe that there are no BCOP in Vietnam right now. And I think that in the future, that BCOP movement will grow faster in Vietnam in the future, and at least in my national parks, I can strengthen this spirit to my company, and as well as the company in my national parks and in our networks. Thank you for the sharing.
So who else is ready to share? We have somebody over there. Okay, go ahead. Over there. Yeah.
Do you have any shirts?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Go on. Just talk into it. Yes. Yes. And then.
My name is Rebecca Chang, and I'm based in Taiwan. I was Thank you. Hi. I should probably repeat myself. Hi, good morning, everyone, on the panelists, Corey and David. My name is Rebecca Chang, and I'm based in Taiwan. Why am I here? I worked for big companies for over 20 years in my life. And at the point of time, I felt that I don't want to contribute all my prime years to companies that only focus on maximizing bottom line. However, don't get me wrong, I was working for very good companies. Companies like Google, I was the first country manager for Google, Hong Kong and Taiwan on the business side, where the company model is you will be doing well by doing good. The other company I worked for over 4 years is Delta Electronics, which is the first Taiwan public listed company that got included in Dow Jones Sustainability Index. So I was proud of what all the companies I worked for. However, when I reached the point of the stage where I also recite Kongzi, the words similar to what John was saying, I also asked myself, what else can I do? So 3 years ago, I decided to quit my corporate job and went back to school, started teaching, also became a full-time student, PhD student, working on active aging. So again, we share the same version with Sergio and John. So why is that? Because I believe that active aging, which was has been promoted by World Health Organization back in 2002, global aging is a threat a challenge, but also present huge opportunities. So that's what I believe in. That's why I've been studying active aging for the past 3 years. I hope I can get my degree in a year or two. But in the meantime, I also started to learn about B Corp thanks to all the great news, all the buzz created by Corey David. So that's why I learned about this conference, and I'm really excited to be here, to be learning with each other, and hopefully we'll get to talk more about our shared vision. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Somebody in the back there? And there's one in the back as well. Okay, go ahead.
Hello everyone, I'm Lisa. I'm from Taipei. Why I'm here today? Because actually I was employee over 25 years in a high-tech company. But 1 year ago, I decided to do my own business. When I share with my friend what my business I want to do is I want to collect all strong force on engineering and then do the education to our kids because not because of policy but also the resource issues. Some of the area, even in Taiwan, they do have the education resource issue. So when I share my vision and what I want to do to my friend, they say, "How come you never mention about profit? How you run your business?" I share with them, I just want to do something based on my resource, based on what I know, and align all the resources to help the people that need this requirement. That's what I want to do. So I'm here. I want to hear what the difficulty on those outstanding big company, what's the difficult, and even this is the first panel, but I do inspire what all of you share to me. So I do expect the other panel I could get more power, more experience from your guide, and I could do something. Just do something, even that's small, but we could do something based on what you could do. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's have this one last person, and then we'll over here.
Hello everyone. I'm a bit different. I don't own any business yet. I'm actually a student. I'm from Hsinchu. I study architecture in Scotland. And why I come here is because while I was studying architecture, it's really related to built environment. And that is something really important I care about. And on this path of searching what is architecture really make me think what Mr. Chang was mentioning about the life purpose, because what we devoted through our life, maybe 40, 50 years, and we actually found out what architecture really means, is to help people. And I think B Corp is exactly architectural practice you need to looking into. And hopefully one day I can part this movement with my own practice, or I can spread this word. I think this event is not just for business or shareholders. I think it's the education process, and all the people need to know, not just business owner. And I'm just a student. I think this is a really, really great event, and I hope this can get into throughout the world. All the students can know, and together we can not change the world. We have to save the world from our own destruction, basically. So I look forward. One day maybe I can be part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So I can thank the panelists. sharing your thoughts, and then the crowd. Thank you very much for sharing why you are here. That was very wonderful that we have this dialogue together. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.